Welcome to our special episode today, where we will embark a journey through a momentous historical event. Today we gather to honor and commemorate the anniversary of Kuwait's admission to the United Nations, a milestone that holds profound significance on the world stage. As we reflect on the occasion, we delve deep into the strategic implications of Kuwait's accession, recognizing its pivotal role in shaping global diplomacy and cooperation. Throughout its rich history, Kuwait has encountered myriad challenges and triumphs, each contributing to the evolving narrative of the international platform. From its early days as an independent nation to its current standing as a respected member of the United Nations, Kuwait has remained steadfast in its commitment to peace, stability, and the humanitarian endeavors. Join us as we unravel the layers of Kuwait's journey, exploring the key milestones, triumphs, and setbacks that has defined its path. Through insightful analysis and engaging discussions, we aim to eliminate the enduring impact of Kuwait's membership in the United Nations and its ongoing contributions to the global community. Together, let us celebrate Kuwait's journey, honor its resilience, and reaffirm our shared commitment to a more peaceful and prosperous world.
The state of Kuwait officially joined the United Nations on May 14, 1963, becoming the 111th country to join the international organization. The Kuwaiti flag was raised for the first time at the United Nations headquarters in New York City, USA. Kuwait's membership in the United Nations reflects its active presence in the international community and its readiness to contribute to the organization's goals, such as international peace and security, human rights, and sustainable development. The raising of the Kuwaiti flag at the United Nations headquarters symbolizes Kuwait's affiliation with the organization and its readiness to work earnestly with other member states in areas of common international work, as demonstrated until today. Kuwait's accession to the United Nations represents a significant milestone in its modern history, reflecting its enhanced status and role on the international stage. The step of Kuwait's accession to the United Nations reflects the will of the Kuwaiti people to participate effectively in global issues and support humanitarian and developmental work. Since then, relations between Kuwait and the United Nations have witnessed close cooperation in various fields, including security, human rights, and development. Kuwait's accession to the United Nations is a testimony to its commitment to the principles of international peace and justice, and reflects its desire to contribute actively to building a more stable and prosperous world.
Today we're honored to have with us Dr. Amira Al-Hassan, Head of Mission, UN Habitat Kuwait and GCC Office, and Ms. Emma Morley, UNDP Resident Representative in Kuwait. We'll delve into this significant anniversary and discuss the cooperation between both parties in commemorating this milestone. Good evening, and my first question is for you, Ms. Emma. How can Kuwait benefit from the United Nations in area of sustainable development?
So thank you and good evening. So the United Nations Development Programme has been in Kuwait since 1963. So we were really here from the start when Kuwait joined the United Nations. And we work here together to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. We work together with the government, with the private sector, and with philanthropic organizations to help achieve the National Development Plan in Kuwait and the Vision 2035. We work in a broad range of areas, from governance to gender to energy to inclusion. You have it, we're really involved in it.
Great, interesting. Dr. Amira, and how about the UN Habitat? How has Kuwait collaborated with UN Habitat in areas of urban development, especially in the GCC area?
Yes, UN Habitat work stems from the signed country agreement between the government of Kuwait and UN Habitat in 2004. The articles of the agreement is straightforward, which covers many aspects and many walks of life in Kuwait, including urbanization, and as Ms. Emma mentioned, the Sustainable Development Goals came on the table in 2015, and one of the signatory countries being a member state, Kuwait, is one of 193 countries that signed and ratified this Agenda 23 Sustainable Development Goals. So we have Sustainable Development Goal 11, which focuses on sustainable urbanization and involving communities as an inclusive urbanizing, and how we respond to the change of climate change, the effect of climate change, and so on and so forth. So that's how we go about it in collaboration with our stakeholders and partners in Kuwait.
Great. So you also work with different industries, not only governmental sectors, right?
Yes, by all means. Our partners include civil societies, NGOs, ministries such as the GSSCPD is our main partner. Not only UN Habitat, but all agencies in Kuwait take it as a main partner, and the one who govern our relation and our activities is in fact Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because without their support we cannot proceed with any kind of collaboration.
Yeah, for sure. It has to be a collaborative job together, for
yes,
sure.
Exactly.
Okay, moving to Ms. Emma. How does the UNDP and Kuwait collaborate to enhance the economic and the social development in developing countries? What are the project initiatives that we're working on together for that?
So UNDP works together here in Kuwait, but we also collaborate with projects outside Kuwait. Just to give you an indication, between 2015 and 2022, we implemented 15 projects jointly with government here in Kuwait on a wide range of issues. Just to give you a sense, for example, on gender, we work both with the government and the private sector to see how we could empower women and help achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 5.
So we will see more women in leadership?
Exactly. So, for example, 50 private sector companies signed up to the Women Empowerment Principles, which really is a basis to see how exactly, as they're called, to see how we can empower women in the private sector. We also, for example, work with NAZAHA, the Anti-Corruption Commission, developing their anti-corruption strategy. And we've seen a significant leap for Kuwait in the global anti-corruption rankings. And just yesterday we signed 2 MOUs, one with the philanthropic organization, the International Islamic Charity Organization, to see how we can work together on capacity building and partnership for projects and co-financing abroad, and with the Kuwait Finance House on a global Takaful Alliance to see how we can support insurance for farmers in areas abroad where there's climate risk.
Great, interesting. Dr. Amira, in what way has this, the membership of Kuwait in the United Nations has affected its urbanization strategies and policies, especially when it comes to urban development and or sustainable development and housing initiatives?
Well, UN Habitat facilitated Kuwait attending and participating as main speakers in many international arenas and summits that are focusing on sustainable development, such as Habitat Summit in Quito, which resulted in the new urban agenda. The new urban agenda actually was effective from 2016 up to 2036. And all member states of the United Nations are working towards achieving a main goal with regards to urban governance. Also, we promote many interventions where, for example, the greening of open public spaces in Kuwait under the slogan Kuwait Plants or Kuwait Cultivates started in 2019, and it's ongoing through the funding from the oil sector and private sector groups. Also, you see the national reports of Kuwait are very important because the national reports of any country actually it states what in numbers and provide data on how much progress has been made in each country. And in that regard, Kuwait submitted its first national report on urban planning and achieving the new urban agenda, as well as different forums that we do. For example, Kuwait, inshallah, is going to be partner and participating in the international forum which will take place in Cairo in November 2024. Other than that, we see the effect of sand and dust storm on the economic and social structure of all the Gulf states. So UN Habitat succeeded in signing an agreement with Kuwait Fund where we rehabilitate the source areas, or what is called the hot spots of transboundary sand and dust storms coming from Iraq to all the Gulf countries, affecting morbidity and mortality rate in those countries, as well as costing damages that are up to millions of dollars. So Kuwait is the first country in the Arab region signing such an intervention that focuses on the effect of climate change and mitigating the effect of climate change.
My final question is to Ms. Amma. How can this collaboration between Kuwait and the UNDP contribute to expertise and knowledge sharing, especially when it comes to development and sustaining the national capacities in the sustainable development area?
Great question. So let me give you a couple of examples. Last year, Kuwait presented its second voluntary national review at the United Nations High-Level Political Forum in New York. And this is a report which the government voluntarily does to assess progress on the Sustainable Development Goals here in Kuwait. And UNDP worked together, not only UNDP, but together with other UN organizations here to support the government in providing technical assistance to be able to assess the progress against the Sustainable Development Goals here in Kuwait to implement into that report. We also work very closely with the Kuwait Public Policy Center in the GSS CPD on the development of evidence-based policies. So what this means in practice is that we look at data, we look at analysis, and we help provide the technical assistance to develop policies in a wide variety of areas, such as trade, competitiveness, inclusion. And a lot of these policy papers were taken up and were used as an input into the Kuwait National Development Plan. And just thinking forward to the future, one of the things that we're looking at is how can we really showcase the positive and great work which is being done in Kuwait here by the government, by the private sector, by the philanthropic sector abroad. And one thing I just found out is that Kuwait has an excellent record in reducing gas flares.
That's true.
And this is something which is really quite unique and for the region, and seeing how we can document this experience, document what has been done, and to be able to share this knowledge both with the GCC and globally. And in an era where we have lots of COPs focused around climate change,
net zero climate
COP16
change,
in Riyadh this year, COP29, COP30 leading up in Brazil next year. We think this is an excellent example of how we can showcase some of the positive.
We need a more sustainable planet for the coming generations.
Exactly. And the Sustainable Development Goals are around people, planet and prosperity.
Exactly. Thank you for all your efforts and for your time. And dear viewers, we'll watch the upcoming report and then we'll be back. Thank you.
The state of Kuwait occupies a prominent position as a hub for humanitarian work regionally and internationally, providing support and assistance to those in need and affected around the world. Kuwait was awarded the title of Humanitarian Center in 2013 in recognition of its humanitarian and solidarity efforts in providing aid to areas affected by conflicts and natural disasters. Through strong partnerships with humanitarian organizations and international institutions, the Kuwait Humanitarian Center strives to provide humanitarian aid effectively and in a timely manner to those in need, whether they are victims of conflicts, natural disasters, or challenging economic conditions. The efforts of the Kuwait Humanitarian Center are characterized by transparency and professionalism, as it works to provide assistance without discrimination according to global humanitarian principles. Through its steadfast commitment to providing aid to those in need, Kuwait's initiatives in the field of humanitarian work reflect its commitment to the values of human brotherhood and international solidarity.
We're back, dear viewers and esteemed guests. We've just watched a report on Kuwait's ranking in the Humanitarian Work Index in 2013. This leads me to pose the following question with Mr. Mazen Abul Hassan, Chief Mission IOM Kuwait. Mr. Mazen, how do you evaluate Kuwait's role in contributing to the goals and activities of the United Nations since its accession to the organization? And how can the impact be enhanced in the future?
Good afternoon, and thank you for hosting me. Kuwait has been an exemplary partner for its collaboration with the United Nations for over than 61 years since its joining the institution in May 14, 1963. I think this partnership has manifested in several areas. We can summarize them into three. The first one is in peacekeeping and conflict resolution. We have seen Kuwait acknowledging the United Nations efforts and action in fulfilling the organization mission to maintain peace and security based on the Charter 12. And we have seen this has been also reassured in terms of commitment to peacekeeping during the General Assembly of last year, where Kuwait reaffirmed its commitment to multilateralism and the goals of the United Nations. The second point is related to the Sustainable Development Goals, where we see Kuwait aligning with the Global Sustainable Development Goal, and this was clear when Kuwait submitted its voluntary national report in also last year. And the last point is related to the promotion of the human rights and the social justice. In October 2023, Kuwait was elected as one of the new members of the Human Rights Council, and this shows the recognition of the state of Kuwait of its role in promoting human rights. And for sure, we can talk further about the humanitarian aid and development, where Kuwait is much involved in this area as well.
Yeah, actually, this is our upcoming question. What are the main contributions that Kuwait has made within the framework of the UN in areas such as humanitarian relief, Mr. Mazen?
Kuwait has played a very important role in humanitarian relief within the framework of the United Nations, and that's why it was declared as a humanitarian center in 2014. If we look at the statistics from the UN Office of Coordination for Humanitarian Affairs, since 2020, Kuwait has donated approximately $296 million towards the UN humanitarian relief operation. This, in addition to its continuous humanitarian support, we have seen recently a lot of plane full of humanitarian aid going to Gaza, to Sudan, and to countries affected by the crisis. And to give you an example related to our organization, the International Organization for Migration, the government of Kuwait has donated around $70 million for the last 15 years. And this goes to support for displaced population and affected communities in many countries, such as Afghanistan, Ukraine, Syria, Turkey, Pakistan, Iraq, Lebanon, as well as many other countries. And this allowed our operation to address the important needs by providing the humanitarian assistance to people affected by crisis.
Indeed, thank you for that. And as always, Kuwait is known for its humanitarian activities. Now let's watch the following report, and then we'll return with our guests in the studio.
Kuwait emerges as an effective partner in supporting refugees, displaced persons, and migrants through its partnerships with several international organizations affiliated with the United Nations, including the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, or the UNHCR, the International Organization for Migration, the United Nations Development Programme, or the UNDP, and the United Nations Human Settlements Programme, or UN Habitat. This article aims to review the joint efforts of these organizations in collaboration with Kuwait to provide support and assistance to vulnerable populations. Kuwait's collaboration with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, or the UNHCR, includes providing necessary support to displaced persons and refugees by offering shelter, healthcare, education, and social protection. Additionally, Kuwait works in cooperation with the International Organization for Migration to support migrants and enhance their rights, providing financial and material donations to support the organization's programs. The United Nations Development Programme, or the UNDP, witnesses close cooperation with Kuwait to achieve sustainable development, providing support to enhance education, healthcare, employment, and good governance in affected areas. As for the United Nations Human Settlements Programme, or the UN Habitat, Kuwait actively collaborates to improve urban infrastructure and provide safe and sustainable shelter for affected communities. These joint efforts underscore Kuwait's and United Nations affiliated organizations' commitment to achieve comprehensive development and social justice, highlighting the importance of international cooperation in addressing global humanitarian challenges.
From what we've seen in the previous report, Kuwait enjoys a strong relationship with United Nations organizations. We will talk more about Kuwait's partnership with the United Nations. We're delighted to have with us Dr. Asad Hafiz, WHO representative in Kuwait, and Ms. Nasreen Rubai'an, UNHCR representative also in Kuwait. So let me ask this question to Dr. Asad. How can Kuwait's contribution to global health advance efforts to sustainable development, especially in the light of its commemoration in United Nations?
Thank you very much for inviting me here. Health is fundamental to achieving sustainable development. But let me start with reminding a fact that health is very important for everything. If as an individual we are not healthy, we don't want to work, we don't enjoy eating, we are not comfortable in company. So the individual is not productive. The same applies to populations, nations. If a nation is not healthy, it would not produce that economic thrust or economic growth which is required for achieving sustainable development. In the context of Kuwait joining United Nations and other agencies for the last now many decades, all the agencies are working towards achieving SDGs and economic development. Particularly, World Health Organization is working in partnership, in collaboration with the government of Kuwait for the last 6 decades towards achieving increased and enhanced population health, both within Kuwait and outside Kuwait. So this is achieving, or this is progress towards SDG 3, which would also synergize the progress towards the rest of the 17 SDGs. So investing in health, whether it may be within the country or outside the country, by states like Kuwait and other member states, would enhance and expedite the achievement of overall SDGs in general.
Ms. Nasreen, what about the UNHCR? How would you describe the collaboration between Kuwait and the UNHCR, especially in light of the heightened humanitarian crisis in the world?
Thank you for hosting me in your program, and to Kuwait TV too. If I want to focus on the underlying elements that highlighted a 32 years partnership between UNHCR and Kuwait, is 2 elements: is trust and transparency. And that made us, until this moment, with strong constructive relations, and as a partner of choice and trusted partner to the government of Kuwait. Kuwait contribution, humanitarian engagement and contribution, has been vital to support millions of refugees. And I'm not only speaking about regional situations like the Yemen situation, the Syria situation, but I also refer to global ones. You have the Ukrainian situation, Kuwait supported Ukraine. You have the recent earthquake in Turkey and Syria. You have also Afghanistan, the Rohingya refugees. So that humanitarian engagement of Kuwait has been vital to support the immediate needs of millions of displaced persons worldwide. Now, Kuwait has a long record of giving. Historically, recent, current, and I am very confident that it will also continue for the future. Yeah. That generosity is reflected in its leadership, in the institutions, in the private sector, and, as I always repeat it, from Kuwait TV2, in the DNA of every Kuwaiti. So we're very proud with this constructive and ongoing partnership between Kuwait and our organization.
I like the DNA of every Kuwaiti. I like the words.
I've always repeated it in Kuwait TV too.
Actually, so Dr. Asad, what are the pioneering initiatives Kuwait has taken in global health, and how can other countries benefit from them?
Kuwait and WHO have jointly partnered in many pioneering initiatives within Kuwait and outside Kuwait. Let me focus on 3 areas specifically, and I'll say a bit about each. In the context of establishment of state-of-the-art institutions and mechanisms by the government of Kuwait within Kuwait, a good example is the way it tackled the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. It was a very inclusive and holistic one government approach, where the health sector, the education sector, the transport sector, the information sector, the law, ministries of interior and others, they came together and developed a mechanism where all the COVID-19 issues were tackled and the pandemic effects were mitigated and contained. So this is a brilliant example, not only for within Kuwait, but also for countries outside the Kuwait. And very generously, Kuwait contributed about $60 million for those countries which were not very rich or which do not have resources to control their pandemic, their issues within those their own country. So this is how one way of demonstrating what can be done here can also be replicated outside. Then whenever there is in the region, whenever there is health crisis, like in Yemen, in Syria, in Afghanistan, Kuwait has always contributed very generously for the health of those people in crisis. Thirdly, Kuwait has partnered very proactively with global institutions, with global health institutions, and contributed not only resources, but also advocacy forums, and brought in a lot of effort and contribution. For example, the COVAX forum, which was established for vaccine equity, Kuwait has contributed a lot, and also similar to the other initiatives at the global level. So these are some of the examples how Kuwait has pioneered and led the global health architecture and influenced health, and not only within Kuwait but outside Kuwait in partnerships.
Yeah. So how can Kuwait play a leading role in improving global health and addressing health challenges in the future?
Kuwait has, as we said earlier, has a position and a recognition globally, and people see towards Kuwait whenever there is a global issue in health. The strengths or the future which the Kuwait can contribute are these areas of non-communicable diseases, the control of non-communicable diseases, and impact of climate change on health. So these are some of the important areas which the globe is facing now, and Kuwait can contribute through providing innovations, research, a primary healthcare approach, and then galvanizing different actors with the support from the government of Kuwait and other partners to work in these areas. I'm sure with this passion which Kuwaitis in general have to give and to be part of the global picture, as my colleague was saying, it is in the DNA.
The DNA, back to the DNA.
So it's the same in health sector as well, which needs much more from countries like Kuwait at global level. But that also translates into the health of the population within Kuwait, because all these initiatives impact the population in and outside Kuwait.
Exactly, yeah. So, Ms. Nasreen, how do we conclude 2023 in terms of a humanitarian landscape, and how is this affecting the current humanitarian situation in 2024?
Well, we are all aware that the year 2023 has witnessed emerging crises from the beginning until the end, starting February with the big earthquake that took place and claimed lots of lives in Syria and Turkey. And Kuwait, in response to that earthquake, was one of the largest contributors towards the immediate response to the earthquake in Syria and Turkey, through the government and the public campaign, which was raised and was given towards supporting refugees the impacted population in Turkey and Syria. As well as through our partnership with UNHCR, we had a lot of joint initiatives that would gear towards supporting displaced persons worldwide. So we had joint campaigns, the winterization campaign and the Ramadan campaign with the Nouri Foundation and with Tanmiya charity. We also had a beautiful initiative that is labeled with art. So we had around 23 Kuwaiti artists who joined together and donated their own work, beautiful artwork, in support of refugee education in Syrian refugees in Jordan and in Lebanon. We also had World Refugee Day that last year was marked in the premises of Ministry of Foreign Affairs under the auspices of the minister, with presence of large number of different diplomats, UN agencies, Kuwaitis, that shared with us marking of the 20th of June World Refugee Day. We also had a joint mission, as Kuwait is keen, beyond only immediate humanitarian needs, is also to work on longer term sustainable projects. So we had a joint mission with the Kuwait Fund to Kurdistan region in Iraq, where we have seen the launch of a multi-sectorial project funded by Kuwait in support of wash, sanitation, registration, legal, that would later on also support the host communities of Iraqis. It has that longer term impact. So the year was, as I say, 2023, filled with a lot of joint initiative that goes beyond only financial contribution. Now, 2024 is another difficult year. We have just concluded actually a joint mission with the government of Kuwait and with the An-Nouri Foundation to visit Sudanese refugees in east of Chad. The crisis in Sudan, the underfunded crisis of Sudan, has resulted to influx of within few months of 500,000 Sudanese into Chad, biggest recipients of Sudanese refugees, where they see first sight the situation of Sudanese. Kuwait is well positioned as a country known for Islamic philanthropy. A lot of philanthropists in Kuwait, and such has been clear, and this is why we launched the Islamic philanthropy report out of Kuwait this year. And also we have two Kuwaiti personalities that were awarded patrons of Islamic philanthropy, Mr. Jamal An-Nouri and Dr. Majid Al-Azimi of Bayt al-Zakah, and Mr. Jamal An-Nouri of Abdullah An-Nouri Foundation. This only reflects, as I said, the generosity of the Kuwait and the Kuwaitis, and that concludes a lot of joint initiatives in different forms, in different types, towards supporting displaced people worldwide.
So what would be the major humanitarian challenges faced by the organization?
Well, unfortunately, the war is marked with being unpredictable. The world is marked with being unpredictable, with wars, with natural disasters that is directly affecting the lives of millions of people and causing human suffering. If you want to put a status of the world now, it is a persistent emergencies that is leading to forced displacement. As we speak, we have 117 million persons displaced worldwide. By end of this year, and according to the Global Trends reports which UNHCR is launched, it's gonna be over 130 million persons displaced worldwide as a result of emerging crises. And we don't know how many new crises will be coming. We are facing new crises by the month. Now, there is also, this is coupled with economic challenges that is affecting the funding, the supporting. Having said that, it is a global shared responsibility to support the innocent civilians who are impacted as a result of man-made wars or natural disasters. And it is our duty to provide for them, and we're not talking about now longer term, we're talking about immediate humanitarian needs. It's a customary responsibility.
It's a shared responsibility, as you said.
And this is why I am calling upon all our partners in Kuwait, public and private, to continue with the same sense of philanthropy and not to have what we call it, and I don't like this term, but we call it donor fatigue. There is a donor fatigue, but there is also commitment and responsibility towards serving the people we care of.
Yes.
So, and thank you very much for allowing us through this program to appeal for
our
our
pleasure and
audience.
job and joy. Ms. Nasreen and Dr. Asad, thank you for your time and for being with us. It was an engaging conversation, and you brought us a lot of insightful information and pleasure to the studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Indeed, the role of Kuwait in the humanitarian field is manifested through providing support and assistance to those in need worldwide through various humanitarian initiatives and projects reflecting its commitment to humanitarian values and global solidarity. Thank you all for being with us today. It has been a rewarding and enlightening episode, providing us with the opportunity to delve into Kuwait's global impact and its collaboration with the United Nations. As we conclude our broadcast, we extend our sincere appreciation to our viewers for their engagement. Goodbye.